Hey everybody, happy Halloween from the Mage of Ancients, and I'm here with my latest update to my DDD deck profile. At first, I figured that since we were not going to get DDD Flame High King Genghis, I decided to just put this deck to the side. But now that we have DDD Flame High King Genghis, I figured that now would be a perfect time for me to try and update it and make it as competitive as possible. Or basically put, I want to be able to revisit it now that we actually have Flame High King Genghis in the TCG. So what do I think about this deck? Well, I think it's a pretty good deck casually. I wouldn't say that this is a really good deck competitively, but that's only because we don't have the new DDD Link monster that has been announced for the new Link Reigns pack set, if my memory serves me correctly. But in the meantime, I decided to revisit this deck and try to make it as competitive as possible. So along with Flame High King Genghis, I tried to include cards in this deck to make it as consistent and competitive as possible. Of course, this is not the best deck profile in the world, but feel free to leave suggestions down in the comments on what I should do to improve this deck. Also, before I forget, I'm almost at 500 subscribers. I say this at the end of every description of every video that I put out. If you guys can help me get to 500 subscribers, then I will be doing a small giveaway when we reach that milestone. So hopefully you guys can help me reach that goal. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoy this deck profile. Let's get started. To start off, for the monsters, I run 3 copies of DDD Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. Especially in this day and age of Yu-Gi-Oh!, just being able to recur your resources and recycle your monsters in order to crank out as many extra deck monsters as possible is pretty much crucial for almost any deck, except for like True Dracos or Sky Strikers, just things like that. Anyway, you use Ragnarok's Pendulum ability to special summon a DD monster from your graveyard when you special summon another DD monster onto your field. And then what you can do later is that you get out your Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon to special summon this card from your Pendulum Zone, and when it becomes a monster, you can special summon another DDD monster from your graveyard. Its monster effect also works if you normal summon it as well, just so you know. And then afterwards, I run 2 copies of Chaos King Apocalypse. This is not really something that I personally recommend running in a DDD deck. It's just there just because you can get that extra special summon, whether it's a monster or if it's a pendulum card. And I also use this just in case I don't have the resources necessary to special summon my Gus King Alexander. And so I can just use Chaos King Apocalypse, it's level 7, and Lamia is a level 1. Then I can just synchro summon into Curse King Siegfried from there. Next, I run 2 copies of DD Savant Thomas. It has the Pendulum ability where you can recycle one of your face-up DD Pendulum monsters from your extra deck and then put it back into your hand. And it also has the monster effect where you can target a DD card in my Pendulum Zone, destroy it, and then special summon either Ragnarok or... Is it another? Yeah, I can special summon either Ragnarok or Thomas from my deck and get it onto my field. Next, I run only 1 copy of Savant Thomas. I might remember in my previous DDD deck profile when I actually ran 2 of these, but I decided to bump it down to 1 just because I want to make room for my other DD cards. So this is basically a monster reincarnation for your DD cards and your dark contracts. Next, I run 3 copies of DD Savant Copernicus. This is your Foolish Burial of your deck. You can, when you normal or special summon this card, you can send any DD card from your deck to your graveyard. You'll mainly want to use this if you want to get Lamia or your Necro Slime or your Swirl Slime from your deck into your graveyard. You could also use this for DD Ghost if you want to. And then for the last of my DD Pendulum monsters, I run 3 copies of Savant Kepler. So Ragnarok and Kepler are probably the most important DD Pendulum monsters that you need to have in your deck. Ragnarok lets you special summon from your graveyard, and Kepler lets you search for your dark contracts. Well, that's mainly what you're going to be doing with Kepler. It says here, if this card is normal or special summon, you can activate one of these effects. Usually you'll want to get your dark contracts from your deck into your hand. So yeah, those are my DD Pendulum monsters. Now, let's go on to my non-Pendulum DD monsters. For my non-Pendulum DD monsters, if you guys have been playing DDDs for a while, then you already know what this lineup is. 3 copies of Swirl Slime, along with 3 copies of Necro Slime, and 3 copies of DD Lamia. So Swirl Slime, in case you guys don't know, Swirl Slime lets you fusion summon with monsters from your hand. DD Necro Slime lets you fusion summon by banishing fusion materials along with itself from your graveyard. And Lamia is just an overall good floater. So I run 3 copies of Lamia just because I want to be able to see it as often as I can. So Lamia synergizes especially very well with Gus King Alexander. So meaning that if you normal or special summon a DD monster while you have Gus King Alexander out on your field, then you can special summon a level 4 or lower DD monster from your graveyard. And that's why I need to get Lamia into my graveyard as soon as possible. And you have plenty of ways to do that. You have Copernicus. You also have 1-for-1 to get it out onto your field. There are plenty of ways you can do it. I'm also running Where Art Thou in this build, just so I have as many ways as possible to search for my Lamia, or my Necro Slime, or my Kepler. And then finally for the monsters, I'm running 2 copies of Vice Typhon. I think this is actually a new addition to my DD deck, and I'm actually pretty happy to have included this card. And I'll also run 1 copy of DD Ghost. And in case you guys don't know what DD Ghost does, what you could do is that you can, if this card is sent to the graveyard, if you have a DD monster or Dark Contract card in your graveyard, then you can send another copy of that same card from your deck and put it into your graveyard. Also, if this card is banished, then you can target one of your banished DD monsters or Dark Contract cards and return it to the graveyard. What's cool about Ghost is that neither of these effects have a hard once per turn clause, so you can use it as many times as you want. And I also have DD Vice Typhon. It works just in the same way as Necro Slime, except this can only work when you are fusion summoning a level 8 or higher, it says here? Yeah, level 8 or higher DDD fusion monster from your extra deck. But since I am running Flame Haki Genghis, then I don't really have a problem with that. So those are my DD monsters. Now let's go over to my spells. For the spells, I am running 3 copies of Dark Contract with the Gate. Of course, this is your main searcher of the deck, so I don't see any reason why you should not run 3 copies of Gate. So what you can do is, it says here, during your main phase, you can add 1 DD monster from your deck to your hand. This is really crucial, especially if you want to search for as many combo pieces as possible and just continue your plays from there and try to make that ultimate DDD board. And I also run 1 copy of Dark Contract with the Swamp King, so you can fusion summon using monsters from your hand or your field, but you can also banish monsters from your graveyard in order to, if you want to fusion summon a DDD monster from your extra deck. And then afterwards, I run 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. This is the main draw power of your deck. Some people like to run Pot of Desires, but I really don't think that it's good if you're banishing a lot of your potential combo pieces. So that's why I decided to run Allure of Darkness instead of Pot of Desires. And then this card, I actually included this the last minute. I decided to run 2 copies of Where Art Thou. So like I said before, just being able to search for as many combo pieces as possible. You have Where Art Thou. If you control a level 1 monster on your field, then you can search for another level 1 monster from your deck and then put it into your hand. But if you don't normal summon that particular level 1 monster, then you take 2,000 damage. But it doesn't really matter, at least unless you are going second, really, or if you're just losing time. So yeah. If you have Necro Slime, or if you have or Kepler or Lamia out on your field, it's just good for searching out for that 1 more combo piece to just continue your plays. This is a going first base deck, and so this is a going first base deck. So that's why I decided to run the 2 copies of Called by the Grave, just in case my opponent tries to hand trap me or anything like that. So yeah, I decided to run it. For some reason, I still don't know why Called by the Grave is limited to 2, but I think it's just Konami wants to try and promote the Thunder Dragons and pretty much other graveyard-based decks. Of course, we have Gravekeepers as well, but I don't know about anybody who's playing Gravekeepers right now. But yeah, I think it's really crucial that you run Called by the Grave just so you can stop hand traps. And then afterwards, the only other spells, I'm running in this deck are Foolish Burial, Monster Reborn, and 1-for-1. Foolish Burial, of course, is good for getting monsters into your graveyard. Monster Reborn special summons monsters from either player's graveyard. I'm really happy this card came back, by the way. And finally, 1-for-1, just being able to turbo out your Lamia or your Copernicus or your Necro Slime. And now to start off with my extra deck, I am so glad that this card finally came to the TCG after so long, and I think a lot of people are very happy that this card has come to the TCG as well. I'm running 1 copy of Flame High King Genghis. Of course, if you guys want to run 2, then you can definitely do that as well. But seriously, this card is basically another combo extender along with Flame High King Genghis and Gust King Alexander and the likes of them. If another DD monster is normal or special summoned to your field, while you control this monster, you can target a DD monster in your graveyard, special summon it. I also run 2 copies of the original Flame King Genghis. Just like Flame High King Genghis, this also lets you special summon DD monsters from your graveyard. I also run 1 copy of Oracle King Dak. This is a level 7 monster, and so it works pretty well with Curse King Siegfried, just in case you don't have Gust King Alexander. And then, speaking of Gust King Alexander, I also run that as well. This is also good if you want to get out your Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon just in case. I also run Curse King Siegfried. This is a staple in pretty much every DDD deck. Just being able to negate a spell or trap card while it's on the field. It kind of works in the same way as Magician Navigation, basically. And then afterwards, I run 1 copy of DDD Gust High King Alexander. If you have 3 or more DDD monsters on your field, this card gains 3,000 attack, making it a really good beat stick. Also, it has the same ability as Flame High King Genghis and Gust King Alexander. If you normal or special summon a monster while this card is on your field, you can target another DD monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And now for the non-DD Synchro monsters, I run Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon and Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Afterwards, the only Xyz monster I run is Duodon King Kali Yuga. The only problem with Kali Yuga is that this is the card that you have to end on. You can't really continue your plays from there just because no other effects or cards can be activated after this card is Xyz summoned. If anything, you guys can substitute this card instead of Gust High King Alexander for Hope Harbinger if you want to. Or if you guys have Summon Sorceress, you can definitely substitute this card for that as well. Speaking of Link monsters, the only Link monsters I run are Decode Talker, Electromite, Wee Witch's Apprentice. I'm going to call her Wendy just because Wee Witch's Apprentice is a bit too cumbersome to say, just like a lot of people would imagine. Master King Archfiend, and finally, Link Haribo. Link Haribo, of course, is good because you have level 1 monsters in your deck. Archfiend, since pretty much all of your DD monsters are fiends. Wee Witch's Apprentice, because you have a lot of dark monsters in your deck. Electromite you don't really go into, but it is good for that extra draw. And you don't really use pendulum monsters. You don't really use your pendulum monsters as monsters often, but it's good just in case. Decode Talker, of course, really good staple. You guys can substitute this out, for Summon Sorceress, or High King Alexander, or Kali Yuga if you want to. And now for my side deck. Of course, this is not the best side deck in the world. You guys can include any cards that you want to. But these are the cards that I think will work pretty well against pretty much any matchup. But I'm not going to waste any more time. You guys have already pretty much seen these cards. So here we go. 3 copies of Ash Blossom, because a lot of decks search. 2 copies of Effect Veiler. 2 DD Crows. And I'm also running Kaijus, but I'm not sure if I want to run the Kaijus anymore. But again, it is good for removing like big boss monsters like Thunder Dragon Colossus and Thunder Dragon Titan. Of course, there's also Firewall Dragon. It's still going to be unbanned until we actually see a new ban list soon. Let me put this. Here we go. Doggerun, Godarla, and Gameciel. These are the 3 Kaijus that I run, but you guys can substitute this for anything. But if you guys want to run the Kaijus, these are actually the level 8 Kaijus. So yeah, the reason why I decided to run the level 8 Kaijus is because, yeah, just in case I didn't want to, just in case sometime later down the road that I want to include trade-in, just because I want to have more draw power, then I can definitely do that. And then for the spells, I run 3 copies of Mind Control. Yeah, so just in case your opponent tries to get Firewall Dragon, or they tries to get Thunder Dragon Colossus onto the field, you can just steal it and then link it away for anything else that you want to. And then finally, for the spells, I run 2 copies of Shared Ride. This is pretty much a pseudo max C. If you go first, you can set that card, and then during your opponent's turn, you can activate it, and then pretty much every time your opponent tries to add a card from their deck or graveyard to their hand, then you can draw one more card. If you guys want to include Shared Ride, you can definitely go ahead and do that. It's really up to you, just like pretty much every other card that is in this side deck today. So that's it for this deck profile, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to help support the channel, then be sure to hit that like button, comment below with what other Yu-Gi-Oh videos and deck profiles and weekly vlogs you guys would like to see, pack openings, you guys name it, leave those suggestions down in the comments. And of course, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload brand new Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Also, for everybody who is celebrating Halloween, I hope you all have fun, and of course, be sure to stay safe out there, okay? Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I'll see you next time.